She said it so casually, as though ending a relationship was nothing more than another item to tick off her morning list. "I can't do this anymore, Noah," she murmured, her eyes fixed on the coffee mug in her hands, the same mug I'd bought her in Prague back when we still wandered cities together, collecting little pieces of memory. I stood there in our cramped kitchen, the one with peeling paint and the sink that groaned in protest if you dared run it before sunrise. She wore her favorite cardigan, the same one I used to tug off her shoulders just to make her laugh. But this time, she wouldn't even glance at me. "You mean us?" I asked, though her silence had already told me the answer. "Yes," she said finally, meeting my gaze. "Us. We've been hanging on by threads for months." She wasn't wrong. I'd been working myself into exhaustion, 2 jobs, endless night shifts. One at the 4th Street bar, the other fixing vac units in the suburbs. She, meanwhile, was chasing a dream, some fashion startup her old roommate had dragged her into. I tried to back her, even sold my guitar to cover the cost of her first photo shoot. But after that, she began to slip away. Not physically at first. Emotionally. Conversations shortened, her eyes dulled when I talked about work, her nights filled with dinners and meetings. Her phone never left her side, always placed face down. I convinced myself she was just tired, driven, that all couples went through rough phases. But it wasn't a phase. It was a slow countdown. "It's not you," she said. "It's this life. Always scraping by, always stressing about rent. I need more than this, Noah. More than you can give." That line gutted me, more than you can give. As if love came with a receipt, and I had fallen short at checkout. I didn't fight back, though every part of me wanted to. One look at her face told me this wasn't a conversation. It was a prepared speech, one she had probably practiced in the mirror. While I showered, she packed. By the time I stepped out, half the closet was bare. The apartment already felt like it belonged to someone else. I walked her to the door in silence. She paused at the threshold, whispered, "Maybe if things were different," and then she was gone. The months that followed blurred together. At first, I unraveled, barely eating, drinking too much, fighting the urge to message her every time I saw a mug like the one she'd taken. But hitting bottom has a way of clearing your vision. I realized I didn't want to be defined as the man she left. I wanted to rebuild myself into someone I could respect. So I did the only thing I knew, worked. I took every job offered. Moved out of our showbox apartment into a friend's spare room. Started fixing computers on the side until word spread. Clients grew, connections formed. One introduction led to another until a small startup offered me a chance. They couldn't pay much, but I accepted. Learned quickly, made mistakes, learned faster. I grew alongside the company. 2 years passed like a film montage. From IT guy to operations manager, eventually to silent co-founder. The startup sold quietly, profitably. No celebration, no announcement. I simply sat alone in my apartment, my own place this time, staring at the numbers in my bank account as though they might vanish if I blinked. Then, one day, a letter arrived. Real paper. Thick envelope. The handwriting stopped me cold. Hers. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. "I'm getting married. You're invited. No hard feelings." I read it 3 times. Once as if I were simply another guest. Once as if it was some cruel joke without a punchline. And finally, as a man forming a plan. Because tucked inside was a photo, her and him. He had the sculpted jaw, the tailored suit. She stood beside him in a white dress, radiant, confident, looking exactly as she did the day she walked out of my life. That's when the idea took root, not to crash her wedding out of anger, but to remind her of everything she dismissed. To show her what she had underestimated. I marked the RSVP card, yes. No guest, just me. That felt right. The ceremony was at a vineyard 2 hours north, the kind of place with fairy lights strung across oak trees and hand-lettered signs pointing toward the ceremony and cocktail hour. The air practically smelled of Instagram filters. I arrived early enough to slip in unnoticed. The valet eyed me, probably expecting some rusty pickup. Instead, I handed him the keys to a sleek black sedan. Not rented. Mine. I wore a tailored charcoal suit, no tie, the kind of look that suggested I had nothing to prove. Inside, everything looked just as I imagined. Pastel flowers, champagne towers, polished laughter. And then I saw her. She moved through the crowd with effortless grace, her smile wide, her hair swept back. For a moment, She looked like the woman I once loved, yet nothing like her at all.
Our eyes met.
Her face flickered, recognition colliding with panic. She froze mid-laugh, champagne glass lifted halfway. She didn't approach, didn't retreat. Just froze.
I nodded politely. Not warm, not cold. Just enough. Then I saw him. The groom.
Taller, broader, his suit perfectly fitted. Handsome, though in a forgettable sort of way. He wore confidence like armor, the kind only a man who'd never truly lost anything could wear.
He didn't recognize me. Not yet. The ceremony began. Guests took their seats. I slid quietly into the back row. Music swelled. Vows exchanged.
The usual promises: laughter, devotion, forever.
Someone cried. I didn't. They kissed. Applause erupted.
Cameras flashed like fireworks. Then came the reception.
Assigned seating.
My name written in elegant cursive, Noah Carter.
The same handwriting as the envelope. She wanted me there. For what reason, I could only guess. Maybe to prove she'd won. Maybe just to show she was fine.
My table was filled with strangers, older couples, probably relatives or business partners. One woman leaned in, curious. So, how do you know the bride?
I gave a small smile.
Old friend, I said simply. Dinner passed in a blur of chatter and clinking glasses. I barely spoke, just nursed a glass of bourbon, eating slowly, watching. Every so often, I felt her eyes on me. Once.
Twice.
A third time, longer. By the fourth, she rose from the head table and drifted over. She came up quietly, touching my shoulder like we were long-lost friends instead of something else entirely. Noah, she said, her voice low.
I turned, met her eyes head-on. Emma.
She forced a smile, tight and uneasy. You actually came, she said. I wasn't sure you would.
I lifted my glass slightly.
Neither was I. Without waiting, she slid into the empty chair beside me. I'm glad you're doing well, she said. You look different. You mean not broke?
Her smile faltered.
That's not what I meant. No, I leaned closer, my tone sharp. When you left, you said I didn't have enough to give.
She dropped her gaze to her hands.
That wasn't fair. It was honest.
Silence stretched between us.
Around us, the reception hummed, cutlery against plates, laughter carrying from distant tables. Finally, she asked, Why are you here, Noah? Really?
I didn't get the chance to answer.
The microphone crackled to life at the front of the tent. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC boomed, grinning. One of our guests has prepared a very special surprise for the bride and groom. Emma blinked at me, confused. What is this? I rose slowly, straightened my jacket.
Her eyes widened.
Noah, she whispered, but I was already walking forward.
The MIC was heavier than I expected.
Funny the details you notice when adrenaline is racing through your veins. Heads turned toward me, forks paused mid-air, laughter cut short.
Even the DJ froze.
Emma stood halfway to the stage, trapped between denial and disbelief. I looked out at the sea of unfamiliar faces, then back at her.
And I began.
Good evening, I said, calm, steady.
I hadn't planned to speak tonight.
My intention was to sit quietly at the back, be polite, and leave before dessert. But standing here, I realized something feels unfinished.
A few people chuckled nervously.
Emma didn't. My name is Noah Carter, I continued. Once upon a time, I thought I'd marry the bride myself. The room went still. But life had other ideas. She left me, told me I couldn't give her the life she deserved.
And she was right. Back then, I couldn't.
I was broke, not just in money, but in spirit. I was stretched thin, chasing dreams no one else believed in.
Not even her.
I paused, letting the words settle.
But rock bottom has a strange gift. It teaches you how to climb. After she walked out, I learned to build. Slowly. Quietly.
Without shortcuts. Emma's face crumpled.
She looked as if she wanted to vanish.
I'm not here to humiliate anyone, I softened.
This isn't revenge.
It's closure. From my jacket, I drew a small white envelope sealed with wax. I brought a gift. Something I think the bride and groom should see. The groom was on his feet now, arms crossed, bristling.
I stepped down the aisle and handed him the envelope. He hesitated.
Open it,
I said. He tore the seal.
Read it.
His jaw tightened.
What the hell is this?
His voice rose.
Emma rushed over, snatching the paper. Her eyes scanned the page, and I watched her expression collapse.
It was a transfer of ownership. A deed.
The vineyard itself, this very property, signed over to me. 3 weeks earlier, I had bought it quietly through a shell company. Now, in front of family, friends, and centerpieces that cost more than most people's rent, I wasn't just a guest.
I was the landlord. Her voice trembled.
You bought it. Technically, I corrected. I bought the company that owns it.
Clean deal.
Fully legal. The groom stepped closer, defensive. You're trying to humiliate us.
I shook my head.
I'm reminding her. A man isn't measured by his lowest point.
Gasps rippled through the crowd.
The MC mumbled something before slipping off stage. At one table, a fork clattered to the floor. Emma looked hollow, disconnected, her lips moving but no words forming. I turned to leave, then paused. You won't be evicted, I said. Your lease stays intact. One day, you can remember this as your wedding day, without disruption, without noise.
And then I walked away.
Outside, the sun dipped low, painting the vineyard gold. Behind me, chaos simmered, raised voices, a song cutting mid-beat.
But out here, it was quiet. Clean. It wasn't about revenge. Not anymore. It was about the man she didn't wait for.
The one who rebuilt himself from the ruins. The one who walked into a wedding with nothing to prove and walked out whole. People say success is the sweetest revenge. I disagree.
Peace is.
Because peace doesn't require witnesses. It only asks that you close the door behind you, and never look back.